Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. We're Fantasy Family. I'm Uncle Tess. I'm here with Donald, and welcome back, Rob. Glad you are feeling better. Listen, it's been a very slow but noisy week on the trade talks, free agency. It's just a lot of rumor mills are going around, but it's still very unclear on what the Yankees' overall plan is to solidify this roster. And that's still the biggest question lingering out there. And it did come out that, they are the talks with Arraez is too far out. I'm at that point. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that door is closed, but that does leave options available. It did come out because the arbitration yesterday that a lot of teams were unable to reach agreements with players, even some with the Yankees. Rob, I want to throw it to you because you haven't had really a chance to put too much of a voice to this. But, I saw something that Brendan Donovan and the Cardinals were unable to reach an agreement. If that's the case, does that reopen the window for the Yankees to try to swoop in with some trade talks?
I would love it. He'd be if he was available. I still don't think the Cardinals are actually going to trade him because they still have 3 years of control. Just because they didn't come to an agreement yesterday doesn't mean they can't come to an agreement before arbitration hearings. Remember, we went down to the wire with Judge that year, to the very last second. So, which was a terrible look. And so it's very possible that tomorrow they come up with a deal because apparently they were discussing a multi-year deal with him. They were trying to extend him because that's the kind of guy you want to build around. But yeah, thank you, Stevie. If he becomes available, that's the dude that you go after. The guy can play defense anywhere. He can hit. He'd be the leadoff hitter in a heartbeat. I would love it. I just don't see it as a possibility. I haven't really thought it was a realistic possibility from the start. As much as I'd like to get him, I just don't see the Cardinals trading that guy.
Donald, are you the talks of Arraez is kind of out of the? It seems like that's dead in the water at this point. Even though there is the chance that they're going to be trying to extend Donovan. Does that still leave the window open, or do you think that because that's a player that the three of us, I think we all agreed on would be a really good fit for this team, or is that another window that's also closed?
I haven't really heard the Yankees and Donovan. A lot of that is ourselves talking about Donovan because he's obviously a very good player. There's very little mention of Donovan in the Yankee offseason plans from what I gather. So just an update from Jack Curry. He says that as of yesterday in the Yes Network Hot Stove, Jack Curry says the Yankees and Padres discussed Arraez earlier in the offseason, but it didn't go anywhere, and he doesn't see it happening. He also said that he believed that those rumors were overblown. Jack Curry mentions Jorge Polanco. Oh my God, I'm going to be sick. As a player that the Yankees have interest in. And he says, if you can get the 2023 version of Polanco, you want that in your lineup. I mean, that is the most insane quote. That's like the same. It would be like the same as saying, if you can get the 2021 DJ LeMahieu in your lineup, that's who you want in your lineup. Jorge Polanco collapsed spectacularly last year. Jorge Polanco and the Mariners, his batting average dropped from 255 in 2023 down to 213. So he lost 40 points in his batting average, and he struck out 50 times more. Instead of striking out 88 times, he struck out 137 times. Oh my God. This guy was the definition of ass. Absolute ass last year. The Baseball Savant page has his batting run value -11. But oh no, he can play defense. No, he can't. -8 fielding run value. His range is in the 2 percentile. His arm strength is in the 8th percentile. Give me strength on earth. He strikes out. He's in the 10th percentile in strikeouts, so he strikes out and 90% worse than the rest of the league. His expected batting average is in the 16th percentile. This guy is freaking ass. If the Yankees are seriously considering him, that they're out of their minds. I mean, stop. What are you looking at? Stop looking at, oh, well, he might be an upgrade to DJ LeMahieu. As I've already said, Uncle Tats could be an upgrade to DJ LeMahieu last year. That's not what the basis should be. The basis should be, how can we start competing with the Dodgers? How do we get a team that's ready to face the Dodgers? Your team's not going to be ready to face the Dodgers if DJ LeMahieu / Jorge Polanco, since Brandon Rogers, since this, that, the other, since your yesterday's farmer is playing third base. Give me a break. Stop looking at bullshit and get me a proper third baseman.
It's the same thing. It's like, it's almost to that point where we're just fans, the media, they're throwing names at the wall just to see what sticks and sparks a conversation. It was not bouncing from the ball's bouncing from from person to person, and it's like none of them really make too much sense. But I think the one thing, and Rob pointed out on X, the fact that they're out on Arraez just shows that they're sticking to their guns with defense and fundamentals. So I think that as much as we wanted him on the offensive side, I gotta say that they have their plan and they're sticking to it. It's just we just don't know what their plan is.
Because hold on, Tats. I'm sorry, but if they're gonna talk about, like, I said that, but then that was before Jack Curry said, if you get the 2023 Polanco, you want that because he's terrible defensively. So that goes against everything. If it's between Polanco and Arraez, you go get Arraez. There should be no conversation there. I don't get what they're doing. I don't want Polanco. I don't want Brendan Rodgers. I don't want Paul DeYoung. I don't want any of these guys that are slightly better than what we have right now. I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. I said this on Monday. If you don't get a Bregman or even a Arraez or Ha-Seong Kim, you're going to be looking at this secondary tier of infielders because it's very barren out there. And these three guys that we're hearing about now, after this, all this stuff came out after the show Tuesday. The Yankees are interested in Brendan Rodgers, in Polanco. They're talking to DeYoung. This is because there's nobody available outside of like the top three names. So if it's one of these three, let me go into the spring with the rotation of Peraza and Cabrera and let them battle it out in Vivas and I guess DJ too. But the thing that's alarming me the most is that they're talking about DJ LeMahieu like it's his job to lose. That's what I don't want to hear. I would much rather them say, look, they're not going to pay the money for Bregman. I get it. I would go all in for Ha-Seong Kim. I love that player. I just don't know when he's going to be healthy. That's the player that I think you don't have to give up international money, no draft picks. He won't cost you as much as Bregman. He sticks to your defensive mindset because he's phenomenal defensively, and he's a guy that, like Arraez, does not strike out a lot, and he will get on base. So he's like a cheaper version. I guess he's kind of like a light version of Arraez, at least with the bat, but much better defensively and on the base paths. I don't know why they're not going after him. Is it because he's hurt? They love hurt players. Is it because he's a Boris client? Is that detaining them from going after the player? I don't know what the fact is, but it's the fact that we keep hearing DJ's name. Oh, well, they still got DJ LeMahieu, and if he's healthy, if you turn back the clock, how many players are we going to bring in that you want to turn back the clock for?
Yeah.
Because we're already trying to turn back the clock to 2023 with Bellinger and Goldschmidt. I think Bellinger will be a lot better, but ideally you'd get 2023 or 22 Goldschmidt. You want 2021 or 2020 DJ. Are we going to keep asking to turn back the clock? If we bring in Polanco, get the 2023 version. If you get Brendan Rodgers, get the 2023 version. Like, I don't want to hear these things. We can't, and the fact that they continue to say DJ's name is what's really bothering me. I think, and I've said this several times, this has been one of Cashman's best off seasons. But if they cut Stroman or they trade Stroman to clear his money only to get like 2 lefties and a Jorge Polanco and be like, it's DJ's job or we're going to go with this group, it's going to put such a damper on what's been a really good offseason because I just hate the fact that they're continuing to push this DJ LeMahieu narrative. It's like everybody in baseball but the Yankees knows his time is past. And they're just like, oh, DJ, we still got him. Like, I don't like it. You have the ability. What did Hal Steinbrenner say? We have the ability to sign anybody we want, but you're not doing it. Brian Cashman said, we're getting after it, so stay tuned. And they've signed 1 player since then. So if you're going to tell us to stay tuned, then all you're doing is bringing in Paul Goldschmidt and clearing salary for Jorge Polanco. What are we staying tuned for? You know, if you're going to tell us you're flexing your muscles, we have the ability to go get whoever we want, then go get Alex Bregman. Go trade for Nolan Arenado. Because I'll tell you right the fuck now, if it's between Arenado or one of those 3 guys I just named, I'm taking Nolan Arenado every single day of the week. But why can't you go sign Alex Bregman? You that afraid to give up a couple of picks? Like, come on, man. Like, Alex Bregman took you from the American League favorites to like a World Series, a serious World Series favorite. I think you can compete with the Dodgers if you bring in a Bregman. But you don't want to do that, but you'd rather be like, we still got the skeleton of DJ LeMahieu out there? I'm sorry for that rant, but I'm sick of it. Like, this has been such a good offseason. I'm trying to be positive, but that really pissed me off yesterday.
Mm-hmm. It was very disheartening. Keep cooking, Rob, because it is extremely disheartening. You know, at this point, I would have been much better off if I heard the Yankees, or should I say Jack Curry, who's the mouthpiece of the Yankees, say, Peraza is getting serious consideration to be the starting third baseman coming into spring training. Then you'd be like, okay, well, the Yankees are actually planning on giving one of their top prospects a chance. But no, it was DJ LeMahieu has a big role to play. Now, I'm hoping that this is the same kind of stuff as we heard, like the Bubba Crosby stuff. You know, Bubba Crosby is going to be our starting center fielder. I'm hoping it's going to be that, and that this is just a way in which to say the Yankees are not desperate where they are, but they're trying to project that they're not desperate in order to bring the price down on certain players that they're interested in. That's the only thing I can hope, because I'm sorry, in trade talks, opposition GMs know that the Yankees are desperate. The Yankees desperately need a third baseman / second baseman. They're not stupid. They look at the Yankees roster and they know that we are an infielder short. Everybody knows that. So I'm just hoping that Brian Cashman is just trying to be a politician. He's just trying to get the price driven down a little bit before he strikes. So I'm not discounting Cashman's ability to do that, because he's probably one of the best in baseball at striking when no one is expecting it. So I'm still holding that hope out. But if it is the case that they are actually pretty content with the situation and they're going to try and wind the clock back on another player, that literally would mean that a third of our lineup would have to roll back the clock to yesteryear. A third. I mean, normally one player at the most, maybe 2 if you're really pushing it, but a third of your lineup that you're expecting to have wind back the clock to yesteryear, that is a lot to ask, and that's nigh on impossible to get. So, and also, we don't really have much depth. Our bench is awful. So, if say that you're asking a third of the lineup to wind back the clock and say 2 of them don't, then who's the replacement? Because they don't really have anybody off the bench. So, the Yankees are held now at this self-imposed luxury tax limit, and I'm starting to think they need to release that, get rid of that, and really start seriously looking at this situation because they can't just skate by on this. You need a starting third baseman / second baseman because they're not held fast to Jazz Chisholm being second baseman if there's a better second baseman available. But yeah, they gotta do something, man. I mean, Gleyber Torres, as bad as he was in his fielding and base running, was not, and I wouldn't say a net negative player overall. But the Yankees haven't really looked at that situation yet. I mean, you're still getting rid of a productive bat plus Juan Soto. That's a lot of offense to make up, and they haven't really touched it. So uh, I'm starting to get a little concerned. I'm not panicking yet, but getting a little concerned. My eyebrows are raised after yesterday. I was seriously hoping that Arraez was coming next, and then we're right. We got a plan, and now that it's not, I mean, if it's not Bregman, then we're kind of in a tough spot.
No, it's the Yankees definitely need to start treating the tax threshold as it's almost like they're trying to use it like a hard cap.
Yeah,
and that's not the way baseball operates. That's not the way the salaries of baseball is heading. In the next CBA, you might see an increase to the thresholds, but until the next CBA, there's going to be no movement on any of these plateaus, especially with the Cohen tax. So you got to deal. You got to do what you have to do. I'm not worried if they go into the season with a salary of 310, 315. Donald, you and I, we talked about it on Wednesday. There's time to still shed the salary before the taxes kick in at the end of the season.
right.
So don't worry. You'll be able to move Stroman at some point because everybody's going to need everybody needs pitching throughout the year. So if they're seriously shopping Stroman, we'll talk about the options in a few of what the Yankees can do with that. But I think that the fact that they are so unsure of where they're going, I don't think they know what to do. I think that's the place it's gotten to. They want to, because they're already paying DJ, they want to use him for every dollar. They want to get every dollar they can out of him.
That's true.
Right? Respect that. But if the ultimate goal is to win to get back and win the World Series, sorry, I like DJ. I thought he's happy to be a Yankee. He wants to put his best effort out there, but he's not his best anymore. It's time to move on. And it's not because he's not going to go into the. I don't want to see him in that category of a Gallo, where it's looked at as really that much wasted money. Because, for most of the money that we've had to give him, we've gotten the production. And it's not that it's just that he got old. He just got injured too often. So I think that, all the hate towards DJ is somewhat unfair, but it's also the Yankees, fault for trying to force it on us when we're all ready to move on, thank him for what he's done for us, and get on to the next generation of player. So that's the issue with that. With Jazz, yeah, he could play third or second. That should make it easier for the Yankees to solidify the infield because it's not like they're looking for one specific position. So that's why Bregman, until he signs, and it looks like it's going to be between the Tigers and the Red Sox. So I know those are the two that are that are coming off as the most aggressive.
I know, two standing American League teams.
And we did have to face the Tigers in the postseason. So, the Tigers made it to the postseason. So, they're up and coming. I just wish we had more of a handle of what was going on. And I wish if the Yankees would have come out and been like, we might not get anybody else, but we're really, we're going to give Peraza his fair shot, or we're going to, utilize Cabrera and Peraza as dual utility guys and not force DJ on us. I think we're looking at the internal options just slightly different.
They can't rely on DJ LeMahieu. There should be no trying to defend it. There's no. I'll disagree with my dad completely because the Dodgers are trying to win championships and they're spending money while doing it. So that's a load of bullshit. Let's see what else we can find here because I saw a few things like, it's still early. We're talking about the rumors that we're hearing. These are rumors that are coming from Yankee people. Jack Curry is a Yankee person. It's not like we're saying this random Twitter account said the Yankees are going to... Like, this is coming from guys like John Heyman, who's very connected to the Yankees. Andy Martino, who's very connected to the Yankees, even though he's more of a Met guy. He's got a lot of tie-ins with the Yankee organization. We're hearing this from Yankee people. So, like, this is what we have to go on. Michael Kay, Jack Curry, all these Yankee people are saying, oh, yeah, DJ LeMahieu. That's why we're kind of like, really? In a year where you just saw the guy hit 200, his slugging percentage was lower than his on-base percentage. Like, you're talking about a guy that can barely hit and
barely walk now.
And yeah, and his defense is taking a hit, and just because you're paying him a lot of money, you have to play him. You know, like, I'm sorry, we can't be doing this DJ LeMahieu shit. If this was 3 years ago and if he was still hitting at a respectable amount, sure. Like, if he just had injuries, like, man, but when he's healthy, he's still producing, like Stanton, then you can be like, all right, we just got to hope that Stanton stays healthy. We got to hope that DJ stays healthy and we can use him. But he's not healthy, one, and when he is, he's bad. So how can you tell me that's a guy that you want to rely on? Look, I also like Tats. I like DJ. I'm not going to say we shouldn't have signed him. I'm not going to backtrack. I was ecstatic when we extended him. We were on air when we got the news, and we were all thrilled. But it's 2025 now. You cannot tell me this guy, after 4 or 3 straight years now of the same foot getting hurt, should be your relied third baseman. Yeah. You can't do that. If you want to use him as a utility guy off the bench, fine. That might actually strengthen your bench. You want to bring back John Birdie like Ken said? Fine. That strengthens your bench. But you can't tell me that you're trying to go win a World Series and be like Jorge Polanco is the best option. DJ LeMahieu is the best option. You can't do that. I think the team is very good right now, but it can be even better if you just pony up a little extra money. Because if you trade Stroman now, you're going to be about, what, 10 million? Because they have to eat money. Yeah. They'd be about 10 million under. If you go get Ha-Seong Kim, let's say for 12 million a year, you're telling me they can't go a few million over to get Kim, another bench piece, and 2 lefties? Like, how much would Hill and Chafin realistically cost you? You know, like, Ha-Seong Kim's not going to cost you $15 million. His market value is at like 12.5. So you're telling me you can't go a little bit over the 301 simply to make sure that your team is as good as it can be as of spring training to go and attack another American League championship and hopefully a World Series? Like, you can't wait for the trade deadline because look at how barren it is right now. You're telling me between now and July, this, like, can't-miss player is going to become available? Who is that can't-miss player? Because if the Rays are competing, they're not going to trade Brandon Lau, and the Rays can compete with whoever the hell they want. They always find a way. Brendan Donovan probably won't be available unless the Cardinals are so historically bad they have no choice, but you can't rely on that. You can't be like, it's January, we can wait till July for Brendan Donovan, because there's no certainty there. I don't like that idea. I know Donald hates that idea. Tats, I'm sure you hate that idea too. If the players that make your team better are available right now, go get that player. You said you can do it. We're not putting words in your mouth, Hal.
Right.
And I've given Hal a lot of freaking credit, and I still think he's been great. But you said it yourself, Hal. We have the ability to sign any player we want. Go get those players. You have the money. We know you have the money. I'm not asking you to go spend $400 million. Just go get one extra bat, and your team is a good bat, and this team is so much better.
Then it can compete for a world championship.
Yeah.
And to circle back to DJ LeMahieu, I mean, everyone knows that DJ LeMahieu is my favorite player a couple of years ago. I absolutely love the guy because he's a throwback player, and I've got a particular preference to guys that are like great all-around hitters, that are pure contact hitters. I love those guys. I love guys that bat 300. I'm a huge fan of it. DJ LeMahieu is one of that. DJ LeMahieu is the best contact hitter in the game back in 21. Unfortunately, age caught up to him, and his bat speed slowed down, and he's developed a club foot, and there's nothing we can do about it. Believe me, I wish it was 2022 because we would have the greatest team in the history of the earth with Cody Bellinger and Goldschmidt as MVP candidates, and DJ LeMahieu is an MVP candidate, and Stanton is an MVP candidate, and Aaron Judge is an MVP. But I'm sorry, age has caught up with some of these guys, and you have to be realistic. I know Brian Cashman loves veterans. He loves an opportunity to roll back the clock. He loves it. But when has it worked? When has it worked? I mean, we go through it. Josh Donaldson, did it work? Did it hell? Aaron Hicks, did it work? Did it hell? Euclid, did it work? Did it hell? Carter, did it work? Did it hell? Holiday, did it work? Did it hell? I mean, you go through it, and he's been doing this since, I would say since like 2012. We've had a lot of these guys. Right? I mean, who did he replace Matsui with? Nick Johnson. Did that work? Did it hell? Right? I mean, I can go through it, guys. I've got a litany of names where he's tried to bring back guys that are cooked, hoping for a resurgence at Yankee Stadium, and it doesn't work. So you're asking for a third of your lineup to do that? Is a hugely risky proposition. And it's not how I would prefer to build a lineup. I mean, at this stage, we should have just picked up Birdie's option. Because he's better than Polanco. Because he's somebody that could give you speed and contact and defense. All the things that Polanco doesn't. So what's the point? Might as well just picked up Birdie's option. The only reason not to pick up Birdie's option is if you're going to get someone better than him. And at this stage, it's getting really barren out there. Like horrendous names are available, and it's really amazing that we're at this stage. And as Rob points out, I'm only asking them to be held to the same account as they held themselves. Brian Cashman says, we want to stockpile talent. This is, it's all guns blazing, no surrender, all this stuff. Hal Steinbrenner says there's nothing that we can't do. Well, great. So go do it then.
It's funny. I just want to get to this really quick. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but wouldn't it make sense to, at this stage, to see what Birdie's looking for, since we do need to, put a little depth into our bench?
I don't see why not. I think they're going to end up bringing him back anyway. They just probably wanted to let him test the waters a little bit, because I think his arbitration number was like $2 or $3 million. They could probably get him for cheaper than that, but it doesn't change the fact that the third base market is so bad. And I don't want to wait for a Sasaki. Why? You're paying Sasaki what, like $3 million max in IFA money? He shouldn't be the one preventing you from going to get an infielder. Like, why are we waiting on Sasaki? He's not going to make his decision till like 2 weeks from now. Unless we're going to get Bregman, that's the only reason we have to wait for Sasaki. But I'll tell you right now, you saw the Padres, they held back some of their IFA signings. The Dodgers did the same thing. Unless the Yankees do that, I don't think we're getting Sasaki. Believe me, I would love if we got that guy. If we got Sasaki, I'd be going crazy. But I don't think the Yankees are going to get him. I think there's too many variables on the West Coast that he's going to want to choose that side. So it all depends on what happens in a couple of weeks. But why would Roki Sasaki prevent us from getting Ha-Seong Kim? Why would Roki Sasaki prevent us from going to trade for Nolan Arenado? Why would he prevent us from going to get Luis Arraez? Like, none of these players would be blocked by a Sasaki signing. The only player that would be affected by that is Bregman, because he would cost you IFA money. So I think he's going there too, drunk Hispanic. I want Sasaki, believe me. I want the guy on the Yankees. But I can't see it happening. I pray I'm wrong. I'll tell you that right now. I pray I am wrong. I want to be wrong about this, but I've been saying since last year he's a Dodger waiting to happen, and it just seems like it's either them or the Padres. Maybe even the Cubs have snuck into like the top 3 apparently. I just can't see a scenario where the Yankees land him. I hope I'm wrong, but it doesn't change the fact that he should not be the guy that's preventing you from getting one of those 3 players I just named. Bregman, yes, because the IFA money. Nolan Arenado, Ha-Seong Kim, and Luis Arraez, absolutely not.
Yeah, Drunk Hispanic. Yeah, love the name, by the way. Great tag name. It's like, if you fly from, I think, California to Tokyo, it's like a 7-hour flight. If it's like New York, it's about 12 hours. So
yeah,
it is definitely better. I still think that obviously the Yankees are still very much on the hunt for Sasaki, which is great news. Jack Curry says that the Yankees feel very, very good about it. So I think they put in a great pitch. So that's something. For me, I would say the Padres are the favorites because of the Yu Darvish connection, West Coast, and for me, I think it would be a better move for him than the Dodgers. I like the idea of him being a potential ace in the Padres rotation rather than just one of many in the Dodgers team. I think Sasaki wants to hold himself higher than that, but we'll wait and see. We'll see how it goes. If it's the Dodgers, then the Dodgers are just an unstoppable machine. They are. They already are anyway. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how the Yankees are going to approach this. The Sasaki stuff should have nothing to do with the Yankees acquiring a third baseman. It's international, you know. So not a lot of options. Not a lot of options.
No, and to echo what Rob was saying, it's the same thing we've been saying. Unless it's a free agent with a qualifying offer attached to him, the Sasaki waiting on him has nothing to do with is not preventing the Yankees or any team from making any moves. And more so with the Yankees because of the international money, the draft picks and all that. I think that it's being counterproductive at this point, waiting this out. Because, like I said, there's 32 days to pitches and catches. So, it does seem like it's still, another month away. But in these days, time flies by. It'll be here before you know it. So, they have to. They can't wait. They gotta get shit done. And if the Yankees seriously feel like they're not going to land him, then I think the pivot has to be to try to get into a bidding war for Bregman. I think that's kind of the last hope to keep this offseason grade, in as close to an A as possible.
It doesn't have to be Bregman, but like you can, like I said, Ha-Seong Kim fits what they're doing. They want base running
sure
and
when Kim's back, man. There's a chance that Kim's not back until like the All-Star break. I've heard.
There's been so many conflicting reports that it could be May, but if they're going to wait till the deadline anyway, you might as well get the guy that is going to be an upgrade to your roster. Bregman would be the guy. Excuse me, I had a cough, my lungs out there, but
yeah, it's weird that they're at this stage. I thought that their priority would have been the infield. I would have thought that would have been the priority going into this offseason. And it's been left to the last minute a little bit. I would have thought that would have been the priority move. I would have thought that Bregman would have been the priority move, if anything.
Yeah, I think Sean's onto something too. He's bringing up, with Ha-Seong Kim, have Cabrera hold the spot. I think that's where I'll take it a step further, Sean. Maybe that's a way for the Yankees to rebuild Praz's stock. and see what he's got. Because if we get a guy like him that we have to wait for, that's going to give, finally, after all the waiting, a chance for Peraza to really show what he can do. And if it works and his value builds up and you're able to, at the trade deadline, address a need, and they're calling for Peraza, because right now that Peraza is not on anybody's radar. Donald, you screamed about it pretty much all throughout the year, how they just destroyed the value on that kid. And if there's ever a window to rebuild that stock, that was it.
Yeah. I agree with John Hispanic. The Yankees current lineup is not scary whatsoever. I do agree with that.
Like Bregman would make it a lot scarier. Arraez would really make it scary too, because you put him at the top of the order with Bellinger and Judge, or Judge Bellinger behind him. I mean, that's pretty damn good. The top three of your order are all guys that can hit the crap out of the ball.
I would love to know what the
guys on base.
Padres that the Yankees would have just completely shut down negotiations.
I think it's the Padres probably don't want to take on salary because they're trying to cut money. I've seen a lot of people be like, "Oh, we'll give them Stroman and we'll take Arraez and Wandy." But if they're trying to cut money, again, they're in a bad financial situation. Like the owner's suing his brothers or some shit. I don't know what the hell's going on there, but
legal stuff going on.
Yeah, they're trying to shed money. So why would they take on Stroman? Like that doesn't. They probably want to just get rid of Arraez's contract altogether, and the Yankees are like, well, we'd rather you take. We don't want to take on all the money, and there's all these different variables, and that's why I don't think it's going to match up. If they were trying to cut salary, then yeah, you'd be like, you need pitching, we need a lefty and an infielder, then maybe that trade would match up. But it's the money. They're trying to cut money because their payroll is like $240 right now, and they want to get it down. So that's why they're trying to move him and even Dylan Cease, which, I wish we still had a hole in the rotation because that would be a target of mine. But
Troy says take on Machado. Yeah, you're speaking my language, Troy.
Yeah,
we passed on that in free agency because the Yankees don't sign free agents anymore.
Yeah, the Padres are trying to be the Marlins. That's tough to do. It's tough to be the Marlins. They're terrible. They're terribly run.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And they've got an unbelievable roster as well. They're right on the precipice of winning a World Series if they can just get this ownership thing right. They've got an incredible product on the field. I would say that they actually have a better team than the Yankees do. In fact, I do. I believe that they've got a better team than the Yankees do, but they're all over the place. So we are blessed to have the ownership that we have. We've got solid ownership that wants to put together a great product on the field. So, I said in the last podcast, I would argue that Hal's probably the best owner in New York sports. But we're still a third baseman short. And if the budget was always where we're at, I would have thought that the third base would have been more of a priority than leaving it to like a couple, like 3 weeks before pitchers and catchers. And I doubt there'd be a major trade that would be available in spring training. How often does that happen? A huge kind of big move for a starting caliber third baseman. I would be surprised. I think this is the window to go and get them before pitchers and catchers.
Yeah, and like there was a report that came out just this morning. Apparently Pete Alonso presented a deal to the Mets that had like high AAV, but with opt-outs. That's why I said like a week or two ago, if this Bregman thing drags on, the Yankees could luck into a short-term deal with Bregman that kind of benefits both sides, where you get like at least one or two great years of Bregman, and then he can re-enter the market. That could happen. And I think Bregman's not going to be until after Sasaki, because every team that wants him or can use him is in on Sasaki. Like, I would assume the Tigers might have a shot at him, but there's some mystery team that's involved. I don't know, but the Tigers and Red Sox seem to be the front runners for him, but the Mets are an outside chance to get him. But why can't we go get the guy? Like, even if you move Stroman's money, you're only going to be about like 15 or so over the threshold. That's where you were last year. I know they paid a lot of money in taxes, but we also made a lot of money this season based off of ticket sales in the playoffs and jerseys. We're probably going to make more this year if they win. So, I mean, come on, people. Even without Soto, people are going to show up to the stadium. It's even when we had Travis Hafner in the lineup, people were going to watch them. You can't tell me they're not going to go see Aaron Judge play, and they're going to want to watch these guys. They want to watch Max Fried pitch and all this stuff. So, yeah, you're going to make money hand over fist. You're telling me for one more year you can't just go over 300 again? Because you can reset it next year if you really, really wanted to. Right. You got Bregman to a multi-year deal. You're not going to need to do too much next year because you'd have a rotation. You would just need next year, you would just need to get a first baseman. That would be Murakami or Vlad, who they're going to target at least. And then what they always do is they attack the bullpen, extend Williams and maybe Weaver as well. And you don't really need to do much else next year because most of your roster is under contract. So why not just go over it this year and worry about resetting it next year?
Well, that's the whole thing about reading the market. I mean, when Carlos Correa was a free agent and he was looking for basically anybody, and it wasn't that long ago, that was the time to jump in on a Carlos Correa. You could get him for a couple of years, and you could have shifted over to third base, and you got Anthony Volpe. But again, they were held hard and fast to DJ LeMahieu. But you kind of want the Yankees to read the free agent market a little bit because there's only a handful of teams that are willing to spend anyway, right? Plus, Juan Soto has basically ruined the free agent market for everybody else, right, offensively. Because no one wants to – Soto was a generational free agent, and now there's very few teams that are interested in Pete Alonso, and there's very few teams that are interested in spending big money for Alex Bregman. This is the opportunity to jump in and read the market where there's not that many teams that are competing. And so you go in there, high AAV, plenty opt-outs, and you walk away with a starting caliber player that normally you wouldn't have a shot at getting. But now that there's a little limited market because after Juan Soto, and it was the same case last year, it was a limited free agent market. There wasn't a lot of teams that were willing to spend. Same as the year before. This is a common trend. So you kind of want the Yankees to read the free agent market and kind of jump in there because they used to do that. That's what they did with Mark Teixeira. The market was limited for Teixeira, and the Yankees were like, well, all right. Hey, all right. You don't have to pull my leg. I'll go take him. Thanks very much. Now there seems to be harder financial limits to the Yankees, and I think the Yankees' financial situation is better than it ever has been. I mean, come on, you're making $800 million. You must have with Juan Soto. Must have. And then the playoffs and the World Series tickets ranging between like $3,000 and like $9,000 or whatever. Just go watch your Yankees get blown out in the World Series. They made plenty of money. So I don't understand, man. If you can afford to get Alex Bregman, which they can, just go get him. They'll have to pay over the odds for this year because of the Cohen tax, but then they'll reset it next year and it'll be fine, back to normal. You know, and at least you're making a statement. At least you're making a statement to the league and the Dodgers, who are laughing at the Yankees for their infield and laughing at the Yankees for their performance in the World Series. So then you make a statement, you know? I mean, the league's laughing at the Yankees for losing Soto, so boom, you make a statement going, hey, we've actually gotten better, guys. We're actually a better team. So for me, there's not a better option than Bregman, and he's sitting there.
Yep.
Do you want him to go to the Red Sox? I don't. I don't want to face him and Devers. I don't know about you guys. I don't.
And the 800 other guys that can steal 50 bases on us? No,
Right.
I don't want to deal with those players.
No, well, we don't have Trevino anymore, so that might help cut down on the stolen bases. No, look, I've said it. I think Bregman, Bregman is the key to finishing this whole thing off. Is he the only option? No, obviously. There's always trades. There are other ways they can go. Bregman just makes the most sense because it puts players, it puts the infield where everybody is in their natural position, with Jazz going back to second base. I think that's, and I know a lot of people don't, Brazil's always pointing out how we try to think things logically, and that goes against everything that Yankees baseball is supposed to be about. So I think that's why I keep circling back around Bregman, because I'm going to go by what I say most off seasons. Until they're signed, they're still available. I don't care what teams are linked to them, right? Like what Rob said earlier about Sasaki. Yeah, gut instinct, super soaker to the head. You think he's going to the Dodgers, but you can't say the other thing on YouTube, all right?
It's like the least threatening weapon you could have thought of. So this is a baseball show. You could have said baseball bat or something. Super soaker. I love Super Soaker Wars. That doesn't sound like a bad day to me.
That's like a great day.
It doesn't mean that so with Sasaki, but it doesn't mean the Yankees, don't have a shot. So it's until Sasaki makes his decision, anybody that's in the mix is still in the mix.
Tats, let me ask you a question, because a few days ago, you were against giving him a big year contract, 7 or 8 years, something like that.
7 years, yeah.
So Super Soaker, to your head, if they had to give him 8 years, would you do it? Bregman.
It would have to lower the AAV.
So something similar to like what Freed did, where he gets less.
Yeah.
Maybe it's backloaded, but then again, that's actually kind of a risk, because then 8th year you're paying him a lot of money. So if you get him to 8 years,
I would front load it rather than backload it.
Well, the Yankees are trying to. I don't know how they would put that together. Maybe there's some opt outs in there, but if the AAV is 22, like Acevedo says, maybe you go that route. I think that's what Teixeira got.
I would say, yeah, I would take. I don't feel it would be a risk to add the extra year.
Is that exactly what Teixeira got? 8 years, $22 million a year, or was it a little bit higher? I think it was 22 a year for Teixeira. So that's still the day I might have actually jumped the highest I've ever jumped in my life when we signed him. That was back in 2009. That was an insane deal. If we got Bregman to a deal like that in today's game, that'd be huge. But he might have to sacrifice, if he wants the years, he'll have to sacrifice some AAV. If he wants the AAV, he'll have to sacrifice some years. This is what Scott Boras is doing to his clients. He's pricing them out before we even get to like the main part of free agency. So again, I still think the Yankees should be in on him, but I just don't think they're going to do it. But they should. So like you said, Tats, as long as he's available, we're going to keep talking about him. He's the guy to go get.
He is. And that's why I'm talking about the Yankees reading the market and taking advantage of when great players are available and there's a limited market for them. I keep saying it. Carlos Correa was a great option. He could have helped develop Volpe, and then he could have shifted over to third base. That kind of stuff makes sense, but the Yankees have been scared to sign offensive free agents ever since Jacoby Ellsbury. Ever since.
Yeah, 22 and a half.
Honestly, I know it was a disaster, but the Yankees, the great thing about the Yankees is they can afford disasters. Most teams would be crippled by an Ellsbury contract, but the Yankees go, they can just dust themselves off and then they go and get back on the wagon. So, it shouldn't be the end of the world. It shouldn't dissuade you from going back into the market. It was a mistake. You live with that, and then you go and make sure that you don't make a mistake again. But these players are available, and it's better than giving up your trade assets. And there's a very limited trade market anyway right now. If there was a trade that we can make right now, I would be all over it. But I'm not sure which one it is. If it's not Arraez, then I don't know will come in. Donovan, again, he's trying to extend his situation over there. So in St. Louis. So I don't think that's an option either. Then what? Not a lot of teams want to give up quality infielders, and that's another aspect, right? You have to think about it from the other side of the coin. It's not just the Yankees. Which teams want to give up their starting third baseman / second baseman that can give you a high OPS, good defense, and a high OBP? Not many teams want to do that.
There's realistically two, and they're both trying to cut money. That's Arenado and Arraez. Arraez, well, the defense part you're not going to get from Arraez, but if you got Arenado, the Cardinals would have to eat money. They have to if they try to trade him. They're running out of options now because now apparently he would actually take a trade to a team he wouldn't have before because it's really Red Sox or nothing at this point. Maybe the Yankees can swoop in there. The Cardinals have to eat money, and it would be like a Bellinger situation where you don't have to give up much to get him. But that's really it. Like those are the trade. Everyone's like Michael Massey or Matt Vreeling. These guys aren't realistically. Why would the Royals trade them? Like I talked to Mazza yesterday. He said, "What about Matt McClain from Cincinnati?" They're talking about moving him to center field apparently. So like teams are gonna find a way to use those good players. They're not just gonna be like, "Hey, we have an extra infielder. Let's dump a really good player to help out another team." That's not how it works unless you're trading need for need. Like if we had we do have an extra starter, but no one's going to take Marcus Stroman for a good infielder. Right? I like Marcus Stroman, but he's not the kind of pitcher you're trading a really good player for, especially with the contract that the Yankees got to eat money there. I get it, but we don't. If it was Schmidt, maybe, and that's where Sasaki could come in. But even then, you need a 6-man rotation for Sasaki. And that's where you'd have to keep Stroman. So you're running into an issue there. If you traded Schmidt for an infielder, if you got Sasaki, you have to keep Stroman. So the Yankees would probably not be able to do anything else. They probably wouldn't even be able to add lefties because they'd have to worry about penny pinching at that point. They'd have to go with the bullpen of all right-handed pitchers unless they trade from their bulk of righties for a lefty. That's why I think the Cardinals are still a really good trade partner because Arenado's there. They got a bunch of lefties in that bullpen. John King is my top. Like I would love to get that dude in this bullpen, but I still think they should call him up. Why not? Why wouldn't I think Arenado would really at this point? It's like if it's between the Yankees and like who wants to trade for him? Unless Boston gets him, he wants to be in Boston because he'd be a dream in Fenway. But that's about it.
Yeah, I know he said he'd improve Boston. I think he took the Yankees off the table. I think he's the one that made the statement that he did not want to come to New York. So I don't know, how the Yankees would be able to kind of change their mind or change his mind, because he has the option. It's his choice where he goes.
Well, he's kind of backtracked now. That's what I'm saying. Because earlier he probably would have been like, "No, I want it." He wants to go to a team that's going to give him a chance to win. Well. Realistically, as the Dodgers, Yankees, Red Sox, Detroit, I don't know if Seattle, he blocked a trade to Houston, and they're always in the running every year. So what does he really want? He's running out of options himself, so that's probably why he's like, you know what? If I'm going to end up leaving this team that's trying to rebuild, I got to open up my horizons here. So I'm just saying, if the Yankees can get the Cardinals to eat some of that money, and we can get a lefty back, you can kill two birds with one stone. I would take Arenado over DJ in a New York minute. And Acevedo, no. We tried to get John King from the Rangers in the Gallo trade, but we got Joely Rodriguez instead.
Yep. Yeah, that was a win.
So we got almost 60 people in the chat. We only got 25 likes, so everybody hit the like button. Uncle Tad, say hello to people in the chat. We haven't done so yet.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Good morning. Hope everybody enjoyed their week. Hope everybody's feeling well. If you're in California, hope you're safe. But everybody, FJ, Jonathan, Stephen B, Acevedo, Ken, as always, Raziel. We had NFE in from the Strike Zone in here earlier. If you haven't subscribed to his channel, go do so. We had a great interview yesterday with Homer Bush. You can look up. Mr. Barrows, I haven't seen you in a couple of days. Good to see you. Drunk Hispanic, welcome to the Chronicles. Blaze 455. Stephen B. We had Devin here earlier. There's just a lot that you all know who you are. You guys all know the GOATs, the greats, all the family members that join us day in and day out. And if you do want to join the chat, it's very simple. All you got to do is, at no cost, just hit that sub button and give us a shout when you get into the chat so we can welcome you all properly to the family. But do appreciate everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Hit that like button, share it out to your friends and family. Do all these things. We're growing. We're growing. The next goal is 1,100, and then up from that, we're gonna try and climb to 2,000 at some point this year. We're gonna go all out. We've got a lot of content for you guys, as you know. You got 3 times a week. You got us, and then you got the ladies who got a great show on Sundays. There's always the midnight show, the Uncle Taz, and then there's my show on Saturday. So you guys have got a whole week of the Pinstripe Chrome. Where else are you going to get a whole week of different kinds of content, of all different types of content, all in one channel? So you guys got to hit that like button and hit the sub button as well. Get those subs up, and for those that are members, we've got some plans for our members as well, because you guys have kindly become members, and we want to give you guys some content for our members as well. Tats has some ideas regarding that, and you'll get a lot as the season wears on.
Yeah, definitely. And let me tell you, there's something really, really nice going that's coming for the members only. So definitely get those memberships up as we get into the pitchers and catching season and spring trading. This is going to be Jonathan, Monday. The holidays are over. The schedule's all cleared out. Co-workers are back from vacation, so everything is as it should be. So this coming Monday, After Dark show will resume. So I'm looking forward to that. I always enjoy hanging out with everybody, talk a little baseball, a little life. Patrick Corbin is available.
Is this a joke, Ken? Because I'm getting serious PTSD from a certain person that would bring up that name. Please tell me you are joking, Ken. Ken Claus, you've been so great, but please tell me you're joking about that.
I would love that. I can't believe it. But Finch can't wait for After Dark.
Corbin is a trigger. You have no idea, Raz. You have no idea.
Anything that pertains to that. Okay, good. Thank you, Ken. Anything that pertains to that troll triggers me, and it makes me want to put a super soaker to my head.
A super soaker. I still love that. That's my takeaway. Super soaker to the head.
That should be a promo with Super Soaker with the logo on it.
Super soaker to the head.
But listen, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us this week. Donald will be back tomorrow night on Yanktified, and then the ladies will be here Sunday, and we will be back on Monday. So just remember to hit that like button, hit that sub button. So just remember to hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends and family, strangers on the corner. This is the Pinstripe Chronicles. When fans become family, just wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.